Welcome to the Rest Easy Budget. We're so glad that you've chosen to begin your journey to financial freedom with us today. These videos will serve both as a tutorial and a reference guide for the Rest Easy Budget. By the end, you'll have everything you need to budget confidently and rest easy. If this is your first budget, or you're starting in the middle of the month, don't worry, you won't have to go back and enter all of your past purchases. You can start wherever you're at. Let's open the Rest Easy Budget. Before we begin, we need to quickly check one box in the settings. Go to File, Settings, Calculation, and turn Iterative Calculation on. I set the max number of iterations to 10 and the threshold to 5. In short, this budget contains formulas of cosmic proportion, so magnificent and magnanimous that Google Sheets doesn't think they should be possible. By turning on iterative calculations, you're telling Google Sheets, trust me, I know what I'm doing. You may still see some errors after changing this setting, but if you simply update the budget by entering a number in a cell, everything should sort itself out. Now we're ready to jump into the budget. Navigate to the sheet titled January. These monthly sheets are where you'll be spending most of your time. First, let's rename this sheet to the month that you'll be starting your budget. Click the little arrow next to the month name at the bottom of the budget. Then click Rename. It's important to use the full name of the month for this sheet. For example, if it's October, don't just put OCT. Write out October in full. This is so that the summary page, which we'll cover later, automatically updates from month to month. Now, let's get into the monthly sheet. The Rest Easy Budget has 4 sections. The Income section on the left, the Important Numbers section, the Category section, and the Daily Breakdown section on the right. To get started, let's go to the Income section on the left. Here you'll see 2 columns, one called Projected and one called Actual. This is where you'll put your paychecks. In the Projected column, enter the paychecks you'll be receiving this month. I also like to put the date I'll receive the checks as well. If you get paid salary, this part is easy. If you're paid hourly or freelance, you can give it your best guess. Or you can wait until you know the exact amount to enter it in the Projected section later. As you get paid, put the amount in the Actual section. Let's say it's the 16th of the month and you've received both paychecks. You'll enter the exact amount of the paycheck. If it was more than you were projecting, update the Projected column to match the actual paycheck. This will ensure that the Important Numbers section is accurate. It's important to enter all of your sources of income, since every dollar needs to be accounted for. Lying to your budget is really just lying to yourself. Once you've entered all your paychecks and income sources, take a look at the Important Numbers section. Here, you'll find last month's remaining balance, your current balance, zero-based, total money needed for expenses, additional money needed, the overage and underage difference, and a toggle switch for some percentages if you're a nerd and like percentages. Let's take this one at a time. Last month's remaining balance can do 2 things. If you're just getting started, you can enter the current balance of your checking account here. This will let you budget all the money you already have, which is a good idea. Once you move on to the next month, you might have some money left over. If you want to bring that money into the next month, you can put that leftover amount here too. Next, you'll see your current balance. As you go along and put things in the budget, this number updates with how much you've spent. This should roughly match the amount of money in your checking account. It's a way to see if your budget is accurate. If your current balance and your checking account are completely different, you may need to take a closer look at your checking account transactions. Zero-based is the most important box for a budget. This tells you how much money you have to budget. It starts with all the money you project that you'll make this month. As you start to budget your money, this amount will go down. Your goal is for the zero-based to be 0. When it hits 0, it's saying, all the money that I'll make this month has a place to go. Next, you'll see the total money needed for expenses. As you budget money for each category, this tallies that up and tells you how much money all of your expenses are going to cost for the month. The additional money needed says, okay, I think I'm going to make this much income, and I think I'm going to spend this much money on expenses. Am I going to need more money, or will I have more than enough money once this is all over? The overage-underage difference says, I overspent on clothes this month, but I saved some money in groceries and in fast food. Did the money that I saved in groceries and fast food make up for the money that I overspent on clothes, or am I going to be in the negative? Finally, the percent of projected checkbox will swap your percentages in the category section to be either percentage of all the money you think you'll make, or percentage of all the money that you currently have. When all the percents are zero, you won't see a difference when you check it. If you don't care about percentages, don't worry about this checkbox. All of these boxes will make more sense once you start entering in money. Finally, beneath all these cells, you will see a pie chart. This chart is to show you how your money is divided amongst the broad categories in the category section, both with percentages and dollar subtotals. Speaking of the category section, the category section is really easy. Here you'll see different broad categories like savings, bills, day-to-day expenses, pets, and miscellaneous, and individual categories like rent, groceries, and gas. If these broad categories don't suit your life, feel free to change them. You'll see that they also update on the pie chart on the left. The only thing that you need to enter in this section is what you project you'll spend in each individual category. This can take some time, and often it'll take you 3 or 4 months until this number is realistic and accurate. For recurring expenses like rent or a mortgage, you'll know this number, so it's likely not going to change. But everything else may change from month to month depending on your needs. If you need more lines or these individual categories don't apply to you, an upcoming video will be a detailed customization tutorial, so you can customize the Rest Easy budget to fit your life perfectly. Go through and make an educated guess for all of your expenses using these categories. Start with the necessities like rent, grocery, gas, insurance, and utilities. If you have car payments or other outstanding debts, add those in the bills category. You'll find that as you add numbers in the projected column, cells that looked blank will now populate with helpful numbers. Almost every cell in the budget has formulas, even if they're invisible, so be careful where you type. As you budget money, you'll see that the zero-based cell in the important numbers section starts to go down. Remember, your goal is to get this number to 0. If it's negative, you're trying to spend more money than you'll be making. If it's above 0, you still haven't found a place for every dollar. You'll also notice that as you begin to log expenses, there's a progress bar for each broad category, like savings, bills, and pets. This progress bar fills up the more you spend in each individual category. The bar will completely fill up once all the money budgeted for a broad category has been spent, regardless of which individual category spent it. For instance, if you budget $1,000 between groceries, gas, and clothing, and then you spend $1,000 on just groceries, the progress bar will fill up all the way. These bars are a way that you can quickly glance at each broad category and see how you're doing. One last thing for this section. You will see a checkbox for each category. This is called an STS box, or short-term savings. Some of the more financially savvy of you may think of this as a sinking fund. When you want to save money over time, check this box. Let's say that you want to save $1,200 for Christmas presents for the end of the year. That works out to $100 a month. Obviously, you don't want to spend all that money each month buying presents. You want to save it and then buy them all at once. By checking the STS box next to a category, you're telling the budget and yourself that this money is off limits. If I have anything left over at the end of the month in this category, it's going into a savings account. It's not free money that I didn't spend. This money has a purpose. In more practical terms, checking the STS box removes that category from the underage column. It's still possible to overspend in this category, but any money you have left over does not contribute to the overage-underage difference. Just remember, if you want to save this money over time, check this box. Let's talk about the daily breakdown section. This is where you'll log all of your purchases, and I mean all. Remember, lying to the budget is just lying to yourself. When you make a purchase, first put in the date. Next, click the drop-down arrow in the category and select what type of purchase you made. Or begin typing and a list will open with all of your options. Next, enter the exact amount paid. and a brief description of what you bought and where. For example, let's say I bought groceries at Walmart on January 1st for $100. I'll put January 1st, groceries, $100, Walmart. Here's a quick tip that you'll love me for. When you're done typing in a cell, if you press Enter, it will move to the cell beneath. But if you press Tab, it will move to the cell on the right. Fill out the whole row. Then when you press Enter, it will move to beneath where you first started typing. This saves a bunch of time and patience entering dozens of purchases in one sitting. You'll also see a column called Split It. This is very helpful if you purchased a bunch of things at Walmart that weren't necessarily groceries, but it was all on one receipt. For instance, let's say I bought groceries at Walmart, but I also bought shampoo and sponges. In total, I paid $100. I want to split this expense between groceries and household. First, I'll put the total amount I paid in the Split It column. Next, I'll either look at my receipt or make a guess as to how much of that purchase was groceries and how much was household. I'll say the shampoo and sponges were about $10 combined. That means my groceries were $90 of this purchase. The biggest benefit to having a Split It column is that when you're looking at your bank account and you see a purchase of $100 at Walmart, and you go and look at your budget and only see two purchases for $90 and $10, you may be wondering where that $100 purchase came from. Obviously, we can see those numbers, 90 and 10, add up to $100. But when you buy things at Walmart for 5 different categories, and all of them are for weird amounts, this is going to save you a headache if you have to go back and track down a purchase in the future. The Split It column will match your bank statements. Now you have everything you need to get started. You can enter your income, budget for expenses, save money over time, log purchases as you make them, and keep track of your money like never before. Right now, you may feel like a slave to this budget, but pretty soon, this budget is going to turn money into a slave for you. Once you gain control of your money, you can rest easy. Thanks for joining us. The next video is going to cover closing out a month and starting a new month.